Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel for a live reaction and player ratings live stream following. I thought was going to say Chelsea first, but Aston Villa 2, Chelsea not 3, but 2. Were we robbed? I don't know. We will need to discuss it. I'll be honest, my initial reaction was kind of clearly a foul. What can I do? But pretty much everybody else seems to see it differently, so maybe I'm in the wrong. So me and Dimitar will discuss. We will get you in the chat involved as well. But what a ridiculous game, because we just can't start games normally. This time it took less than 4 minutes to be 1-0 down. And, well, then Aston Villa parked the bus for the rest of the game. We managed to gift them one more, and then we had a tough way back into it. And then all of a sudden, Poch has actually realised that he's a football manager, makes a tactical change for the first time all season, really. No, I'm joking. But the most drastic one he's made all season. Cucurella playing midfield all of a sudden. From when in the first half we essentially played a 3-4-3, which, okay, 3 centre-backs, sure. But all of a sudden Cucurella goes from left wing-back to centre-mid. It's mental. And all of a sudden we start playing better and better and better. Madueke is carrying the whole attack, basically. He scores. Good goal. Fantastic. I'm still 2-1 down. All of us still fuming. Then Gallagher scores maybe goal of the season for us. Like,
for us, for sure. For us, for sure. Yeah.
Like the funny thing is the next one is Enzo also at Villa Park earlier in the season. So, like, which one's better, right? But that Disasi goal, Dimitar, let's start with that one. Where do you stand on that decision? Do you think it was a correct decision to rule it out? Were we robbed, like Chelsea women today, who have been utterly robbed, even if you missed 3 sitters ourselves? But yeah, what do you make of that Disasi decision, mate?
Well, first of all, I think, as a lot of people also point out, it's very subjective with this decision for the foul. The problem is that I am pretty sure that next week someone else is going to play and the same thing is not going to be given as a foul. And that's the problem fundamentally, I think, with the VAR, because football was not the football rule book was not created for VAR rooms with people having 7 multiple screens with 11 multiple angles of every situation. Because everywhere in the rule book, everything is supposed to be subjective. It's supposed to be how the referee saw it in real time. And when people are watching it replays from all possible angles, the rule book becomes useless and people just do whatever they want. And this is what we have. So, I don't know. To me, it doesn't look like a foul. I have seen such given. I think it can be given. But I don't know. Maybe I'm biased. I just thought the goal should have stood. But yeah, I guess people will say we're biased.
People will say, well, see, it's a tough one. I mean, I don't have a better picture ready, like, quickly, if that makes sense. But it's essentially Disasi, I think Carlos, his name is, pushing Carlos in the back, essentially, as the ball is dropping down from the air. And that's why I think it's a foul. If the player has the ball, it's one thing, right? But because he just pushes him out from exactly where the ball is going to drop, and without that contact, Badiashile can never play the ball back into the middle to Disasi the way he has. I personally think it's a foul. Hopefully Chelsea fans don't hate me for this, but
the thing is, from this camera angle, you're right. I saw someone posted on Twitter a clip from the exact opposite side where it basically looks like he just touches him on the back. I mean, like, pushing is one thing, but like touching someone on the back in the area, but like I said, it's subjective. And the problem is that next week, Burnley are going to play Nottingham Forest, for example, and one of them will be relegated because of this decision. This is the problem. Because
that's why VAR is a problem, like you say.
Yeah.
These are the kind of decisions. Just go with whatever the ref went with. The problem is the ref probably didn't see it properly, because obviously it's, everything's kicking off. It was at the far post. That's not where the ref was stood, was it? It's a tricky one. Obviously, the replays, it looks like he barely touches him, but the replays is a slow motion. So, and 2 players are stood still. Usually we see replays.
No, yeah. This is right. Yeah.
But in this case, 2 people are standing, and then one just pushes with the elbow. You're not allowed to you're just not allowed to push someone with the elbow in the back. Like, I don't know. Like,
if you wait a second, I'm gonna send you on Twitter a clip I saw, which from the other angle. Maybe if you see it from that angle, maybe you will change your mind. I don't know, but to me, it looks like that. I don't know. He uses his shoulder, and even though he pushes him,
shoulder first, to be fair.
I mean, it's not like he's pushing him with his hands. To me, it looks like a coming together where our player sees the ball and like thinks quickly. I don't know. I mean, it's
a tough one.
I don't
Obviously,
know.
unfortunately, I can't show it live now, guys.
Yeah. I mean, I just wanted to say I just want to show you so you can see it from that angle, because from that angle it looks a lot different from the other side of the screen. I don't know. But like I said, problem is always subjectivity. And the thing is that different people.
Also, now that I see it back a few more times because it's just playing in the loop.
Yeah.
Diego Carlos is kind of leaning back into Badiashile.
The thing is, the Aston Villa player does not see our player, so his reaction is always going to be an instinct.
I think he does. The way he leans back, because he gets pulled back by him earlier, so he knows he's there. He
knows he's there, but my point is, instinctively, sometimes in the box, defenders or players just react to contact differently because it's in the box. Like, if this happens in the middle of the pitch, Diego Carlos will just stand still. But because it is in the box, he just tries to move himself to I don't know. It's very weird, and I can see it. If it's given a foul, it's not like there is no contact. It's not like there is no justification, but it's flimsy. And this basically decides the game. And what VAR does nowadays, it just transfers the responsibility of deciding the game from the referee, who is on the pitch and sees it only one time with his eyes in real time. The responsibility is transferred to people who have 27 different angles, and they have time to make an informed decision. And this informed decision is also subjective. So why are we saying, okay, the subjective people behind the VAR are going to make the decision instead of the subjective person on the pitch? I mean, this is the problem. Because we know this clear and obvious error thing that we have in the English Premier League, which no other or almost no other league has also. The clear and obvious error.
Maybe that's a false thinking on my part. I thought that was everywhere.
Well, I mean, or at least the other leagues don't give it as a justification that the VAR did not see a clear and obvious error. They just say, "Oh, we didn't think it was an error." But in the Premier League, it's so specified. It's not a clear and obvious error. So if it's an unobvious small error, you can just let it go.
Yeah, the big problem is the definition of the phrase "clear and obvious error."
Yeah, of course, it's flimsy.
Exactly, like Elias puts it there. Was it a clear and obvious mistake by the ref? No. So why did VAR get involved? And now seeing it back a few times like that good clip that Dimitar showed me and sent me. On the basis of that, I would agree with essentially what Elias is saying here. If the ref gave it as a foul live, I would agree with VAR not overturning it.
Yeah.
But I disagree that it was clear and obvious enough that VAR changed the. Well, that's the next weird one, right? Because it wasn't VAR overruling the ref; it was VAR telling the ref go.
Oh well, yeah, but we always know what that means.
He overruled his own decision almost, which is like. I don't know. Like, now that I've seen, I agree with people now in the sense that it was probably an on the edge one, but if the ref on the pitch gives it, let it stand. Because it wasn't I still think it's kind of a foul, I'll be honest. But if the ref doesn't give it, I don't think it's extreme enough to change it. That's a rough one, man. That's a rough one. It leaves us in limbo again, where we could still get Europe. We might not, because you just never know with us. We just killed ourselves again today. We were 1-0 down within 4 minutes. What can you even say about, how? Back-to-back games, we are 1-0 down within 4 minutes. It's just a joke, isn't it?
No, it is. It absolutely is. And the second that they crossed the ball on that right-hand side of our team, I said, please cover the players in the box. They make one cross in the box, and we can see the goal. It was so clear.
Who I want to blame that they weren't on McGinn in that moment, if I'm honest. I don't know. I'll need to probably see a few replays to fully judge. I should probably close the window of our chat here where the video.
Yes.
You didn't see that. You didn't see that. You didn't know. You didn't see that. Obviously, Joel says here, the remaining 5 games are eminently winnable. Obviously, they are. But we could have won nearly every game we played this season, other than Arsenal and Liverpool away and Newcastle. Yeah. Every other game we could have won, but we didn't. Do you know what I mean? Like, we could win every game, of course, but there's also every chance we lose all of the next 5. Do you know what I mean? But yes, unfortunately, Cole Palmer, as much of a saviour as he's been this season, he kind of turned into Raheem Sterling in front of goal today. That was a bit of a shame. I mean, I understand in his position because there was 2 defenders around him that he didn't have time to see or notice Casaray next to him. Casaray could shout, but...
I mean, for that situation, you can't blame Cole Palmer because 8 out of 10 times, but 8 out of 10 times, it's him that got us to that situation with his brilliant play. So in such situations, I don't mind if the player becomes kind of selfish, of course. Now,
like I say, because he was like kind of under pressure from 2 defenders, I'm not going to be like angry at him. Like,
and also the shot wasn't that bad. I mean, it's not like he skied it like that Raheem Sterling free kick a couple of weeks ago. I mean,
yeah. Honestly, I only saw it once because straight after, obviously, the Disasi stuff happened.
Yeah.
So I didn't really see a good replay of that whole Palmer stuff yet. So maybe not best suited to judge that yet. But yeah, like you say, what is that defending? Again, it was John McGinn. So can you really have that much of the go at the centre backs? Because obviously McGinn follows into the box from midfield. So does that mean it's more on Gallagher and Caicedo? But I'd need to see it back.
I think the most important thing for the goal is that our defenders were very static. And they just stood and watched how Aston Villa were passing the ball from the center of the pitch to the right-hand side and then to the center again. And the second the ball went to the right side, you knew what they were going to do. I mean, there was no way to shoot. There was no way to do anything. And everyone just stood static watching the ball. And I don't know how this happens. This was usually our bread and butter in the second half of football games. But now we start to do it just like every time we start playing, we need 4 or 5 minutes just to get our heads together. And I don't get that, really. I think it's the defensive structure, the defensive line. They were just completely asleep, all of them. If the CDMs or the midfielders, if they could have done something, maybe. But once you get to that situation where they are in front of the box, you just have to be sharp because this is the Premier League. It's not a Sunday League game where you can just ball watch and wait for something to happen. I don't know. It's very frustrating with.
Especially the first one. Sorry, I just changed my internet connections. I'm not sure if you just spoke about that, but obviously Madueke lets Digne go and lets him cross. After that, like I say, it's tough. Obviously, it's always a much easier job for the midfielder attacking because they are running into the box looking at the ball, while as the defender, you need to look at the ball and the approaching midfielders almost at the same time. You need to be aware of both. The second goal...
The second goal was an amazing finish.
Cucurella is super unlucky as well. Otherwise, it goes miles wide and it's never a goal. But instead, we're 3-0 down early. Then we concede that second one when Jackson obviously scored that offside goal, which was narrowly offside, but actually a really good finish. Then he misses that header that he hits against the post. And you're like, just want to scratch your own eyes out because you're just like, what on earth are you doing?
I don't get how this happens, but Jackson had maybe 5, 6, or 7 1v1s with the keeper in the past 3 weeks. And he scored the only one which was offside today. How is that even possible? I mean, no, seriously.
Yeah, but you could see from his celebration, he was at least not sure whether it was offside straight away. So that kind of tells you quite a lot, if you ask me. But yeah, let's get into the lineup, shall we? Because it was interesting today. What you'll see first of all, as I bring it up now, is how we played in the second half. I'll switch it round to what we did in the first half then. But yeah, second half, we kind of did what Pep does. We build up in a 3, have a 2 in front of that, and then a 5-man attack. But it was Cucurella that shifted into midfield. And then once Villa attacked, which very rarely happened, Cucurella did push them back here to create a back 4. But in possession, it was this. While in the first half, Gallagher was next to Caicedo down here. Mudryk played as the inside forward. And Cucurella was essentially a left wing back, while Madueke was a right mid/right wing back. I hope people all agree with this because this is just how it was. Sorry. But yeah, it was also interesting. I'm not sure if you noticed the same, but if you saw it, Dimitar, in the chat, Dalmesh said super early in the second half that Cucurella was playing so high. I'm not sure if...
I didn't see it in the chat, but I also noticed it myself as well.
But my question is now, was Cucurella in midfield from the start of the second half? Or did it happen like 5 minutes in? I'm not sure though. But
I have to be honest, I am trying to forget as much from the first half as possible because we were awful and we did the early goal really shook us up. They lost their heads for a couple of minutes, and it took us a lot of time to get calm and to be able to play football again. So from the first half, I remember that Mudryk was awful. Palmer was a little bit sloppy as well, in my opinion, and the midfield was just not working. Yeah, I mean, yeah, he was isolated. Yeah, he was isolated. It's more the right thing. But I don't know. Maybe in the first half it was like a 3-3-3-1, because I think Madueke was higher than what you're showing here. But also, I'm not sure if Cucurella starting position was so wide on the left, but he spent the entire game playing really further up the pitch.
Yeah.
If we were playing a 4-3-3 in the first half, or a 3-3-3-1, I'm not sure, but it was very weird in the first half, and it did not work, in my opinion. Whatever it was, it did not work. And in the second half, I liked it a lot better as well. And what I found interesting is that what you are showing now is correct for the second half, but there were also a lot of situations where Chalobah was bombing down forward as a kind of right back, and he was getting into dangerous positions and being dangerous, which I liked. And
you do that in a back three, though. Like, remember the Aspie days when Aspie was right centre back? He would turn up outside box and put crosses in the box.
Yeah, but that is when we had Reece James as right wing back, so we kind of had a double down of the right backs on the right side.
Moses, obviously.
Yeah. So like today,
because if I bring up the average positions, obviously because of the second half change, you can't really take it seriously anymore, because Cucurella's position is now kind of a mix of the second half and the first half, the average position, obviously. So unfortunately, we can't really look at that as a clear indicator. Maybe I should have done in the first half.
I mean, what I maybe think is that the early goal really, really shook up the game plan, and maybe the players were not executing everything properly. This also can be taken into consideration, because we tend to just be shit when we are under pressure and when we see that our game is not flowing.
In what sense do you mean that? Like, as in they overcommitted, like Madueke was too high up because of that? Or
I think...
What do you mean it maybe would have been...
Well, I don't know if you have noticed, but when we are absolutely clueless in midfield, one of the two center mid just goes very deep between the center backs, and then the other mid comes next to him. And there are situations where this season, Enzo and Caicedo were playing like 5 meters apart from each other in the midfield. And I find that this happens very often when we don't know what to do with the ball. And today, the first half felt to me like that. Even though the positioning was different, I just felt we did not know what to do with the ball. Mudryk did not know where to run, did not know where to pass. Palmer was isolated. The center backs, they were not as shaky as 2 or 3 games ago, but they were still... I'm not sure they really had an idea how to build up. And the second goal, I thought, was going to kill us. And like someone wrote in the chat, we're going to lose 5-0 again. But this time, maybe for the first time this season, the halftime talk from Poch actually did something. And I think maybe he corrected something tactically. Either he forced Cucurella to go really in the center of the pitch, or he just said something to them to make them realize what the initial game plan was, which they were not executing. I'm not sure. But for sure, the halftime talk from Poch was maybe the best in his career at Chelsea thus far, if I have to say.
Like obviously, the Cucurella going from out wide on the left, all of a sudden playing centre mid the whole of the second half, that was clearly like a purposeful tactic. The Noni one is interesting. Obviously, a bit like think back to Jose Mourinho Chelsea days, right? When you had the left back Aspie, who never crossed the halfway line, while you had on the other hand Ivanovic, who was basically playing second striker. So obviously you can have one left wing back in Cucurella first half that is still more attacking than he is at left back, but not as much as Madueke is on the right side. The problem with Madueke was he wasn't defensively disciplined enough for what he was kind of supposed to do, in my opinion. That's what was kind of involved in the first goal and the second goal, in particular the first one for me that I noticed it. But yeah, I switched it to what we did in second half again. Let's just get to these players. Let's get through it, because there's a few players that we need to have a bit of a conversation about. Let's start with Petrovic. Beaten at his near post again.
Yes.
Rating?
Honestly, I like him.
Yeah.
I think he has certain talent, but it's getting on my nerves, because this is not related to our game, but today I watched Manchester United. And at the end of the game, Burnley could have won the game when one of their attackers, a very fast winger, just shot at Onana's goalkeeper right-hand side angle. And Onana just did not let his legs loose. He made this cross which keepers make with their legs, and he saved the ball in the last minute. And this is something which Petrovic almost never does.
Mhm.
It's like he has not learned the proper positioning when the player is facing you from a specific angle, which is
It's almost
basics
like
for
he
a
played in the
goalkeeper.
MLS and hasn't learned.
Yeah, or it's almost as if he was playing in Serbia until he was 19, I believe, which, no offense to people there, but the level is not so high.
It's okay. Offend people there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Go on.
I don't know who's been working with him, but this is something he should be working on. He should be correcting these mistakes. And maybe it's too late for this season. But next season, comes third, fourth, fifth match day, if he's our starting goalkeeper, and if he concedes this goal, then we're not going to have a very good season again, regardless of the manager. So for my rating, I'm going to say maybe a 3, because I don't know. I just don't feel safe with him anymore. There was a period where I felt, okay, we have a good goalkeeper. He has decent reflexes. He's a decent shot stopper.
Yeah.
But now I just feel like if the ball is on target, it's gonna be a goal. And I don't know, maybe that's just me, but I'm losing a lot of faith in him. Maybe I'm a bit too harsh, but the thing is, if you concede goals in the third, fourth, fifth minute consecutive games,
Well,
it's
but
not a
obviously
good
for the
sign.
first goal, that's not at all his fault. Like, it was Cucurella's deflection.
Yeah, I know, but I also feel he could have done a bit better. Also, there, I don't know. I mean,
No. The shot would have gone wide, right? If Cucurella doesn't deflect it. And
maybe I'm too harsh. It's just I'm really pissed when people make the same mistake over and over again, and it's a simple,
what
basic
mistake
mistake.
did he make for the first goal? I don't.
No, I mean the goal in his corner. I mean, not the
second
first
goal.
goal. Yeah.
No, that's fair. No, I agree.
Yeah,
so for that goal, we can absolutely put some blame on him, but not the first one.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
I'd probably say give him a 4, so that leaves us at a 3.5 overall, because he made a couple of decent saves on Ollie Watkins, which were, I guess, decent.
Yeah, it was one save, but Aston Villa did not challenge us at all. Aston Villa were completely happy to just defend.
Yeah, exactly. The ones
just
they
defending.
The lead, they just parked the bus and they were happy doing that. And do I want to say fair play? You're trying to play for Champions League, so not really fair play, but fair enough. Yeah,
I mean, they know they compete with Tottenham, so they know that 1 point is going to be enough probably from this.
See, I mean, part of me also kind of wants to say 5, because I'm like, well, if he cost 1 goal, even if I take 1 off it, outside of that mistake, was he below a 6?
The thing is, you can give him a 6 if you want. My point is, he made 2 games in a row. He made the same mistake, which is a basic mistake, which is basically a -1 just for that.
No, I agree with that. But I think actually I will give him a 5, because I'm like,
okay, yeah.
I feel like it's harsh of me to give a 4 for. You know what? What I will do is I'll say 3, like 4.5, right? And that essentially leaves me giving the chat a poll. So chat, I'm going to give you a poll, and you can decide on Petrovic's rating. So then it's neither mine nor Dimitar's fault. Petrovic rating out of 10.
Actually, it's the fault of the person who signed Sanchez, because
yes, no, I agree.
We have only one semi-competent goalkeeper at the club.
No,
so,
exactly. Petrovic is not the problem here. Petrovic is
he's not the problem. Yeah,
backup goalkeeper. Exactly the type of backup goalkeeper you'd want, really. Like when needed, when the first choice goalkeeper has an injury, he can clearly do a job. We've seen that over the season. Not perfect, but good enough. But he shouldn't be a first choice goalkeeper, because, for example, this is what I find a bit unfair. Petrovic's been poor for quite a few games now, but you're forgetting that he wasn't poor against City, for example. Like, people then just ignoring that. Or even against Arsenal, did he do that much wrong? Sure, the first goal at the near post again, right? But he still made a few really good saves against Arsenal as well. So I mean,
the thing is, he's also still better than Sanchez, and when we have no other option, we are forced to play a goalkeeper who may be low on confidence, is low on form, and Poch knows if he puts Sanchez in, he's basically sacking himself at this point. So.
Yeah. Well, Sanchez isn't fit anyway, so that's a whole separate issue.
This as well, he's also injured. So again, I mean, we can't do anything else in this situation,
Yeah, but we've left ourselves in a situation where we've spent over £1 billion over the last 18 months, and in the summer we need a goalkeeper, a striker, a winger, 2
defender,
centre-backs, and a left back.
And
how
possibly
you
a
can spend
midfielder.
this much money and need so many players. It's just unbelievable. Like, I don't think any squad has ever been planned as badly as ours, like in history, because so much is just wrong about it.
The thing is, we did not have a plan.
No, we
that
didn't.
is the key.
The plan was, let's sign every reasonably young player that is reasonably talented. Then we signed Enzo in January. Then we wanted to sign Caicedo after. Then we realized, oh shit, that costs 220 million pounds now. So that means we can't afford the super talented and super expensive ones. So now we need to get the other ones. Then we got Disasi, and then we got Madueke. Okay, that was before.
Wasn't Disasi transferred early on in the summer? I believe Disasi. This happened before.
We wanted to buy Caicedo, right? It was clearly part of the budgeting, shall I say, right? And then we were like, oh shit, now we can't sign any more expensive ones. So like Jackson, Disasi, who else did we turn up?
Petrovic.
Yeah, exactly. And Petrovic was only a last-minute option anyway because we had Sanchez, and then we all of a sudden got this loan offer for Kepa, and we're like, shit, we need a new goalkeeper now. So then we all of a sudden just pulled Petrovic out of nowhere. But yeah, there you go. Ladies and gentlemen, please place your vote for Petrovic's rating in the chat. The poll is at the top of the live chat. If you're on your phone, it's just below. Click the live chat, and then you'll see it there. And if you're on desktop, it's just next to your screen if you're not in full screen. So you should see it there. Let's move on to the centre-backs. Let's start with Thiago Silva. Unfortunately, got himself injured, so that might have been his last ever game for Chelsea today, which is a bit sad. But what can you do? The most passes in the game today with 102, which is a lot of fucking passes. 102 out of 105 he completed. 3 out of 5 long balls, 0 out of 2 ground duels, and 0 out of 2 aerial duels. Brilliant. Yet 7 recoveries, though. Like, it's difficult. It's a really tough one today to judge defenders because, like you said earlier, Villa didn't do anything. After they scored the 1-0, they just didn't, like, our centre-backs basically didn't have anything to do other than stopping long balls, and those will not show up as, ground duels or even aerial duels because most, like, Thiago, I felt, intercepted loads of balls, but
he looked very
challenging him for it. He just read it well.
He looked very fast today and very mobile, which is just showing how little Villa did. But
which is probably also why he's injured now.
Yes, he had to move a lot.
Exactly. See, I see in the chat here 6.5 from Joel. I'd probably go along those lines, to be honest, because could I debate a 7 in my head? Yes, but we conceded 2 goals, so I can't give a 7 to a centre back.
A 7 for sure not.
Exactly. So now I'm thinking between a 6 and a 6.5, but I felt Thiago was the best of the 3, therefore I'm giving him a 6.5.
Yeah, in my opinion, he was not the best of the 3 just because I really liked Chalobah moving forward and then covering his tracks back in the second half. I think that was very smart of him. And he also played very well with the ball at his feet, which we know he can do that, but he has not shown that in a long, long time.
True.
So for Thiago, I'm going to go with a 6. It gets a -1 for every part of the defense because of the first goal, because I think this was a positional error by the entire defensive line because they were just standing and ball watching and no one was actually looking at where the opposition players are moving in to score the goal. So yeah, I'm going to go with the 6 for Thiago Silva because even though he played well and I think he was, like I said, faster than usual, we still conceded 2 goals.
The only problem now is because we're still in the middle of the poll for Petrovic, I can't give them a new poll straight away now. So we're just going to do a split for now. Just leave it like this, and we'll come back to it later and see whether either one of us has changed their minds, depending on what we've given other players, or we'll give you guys a poll for that later on. Let's go to Big Ben Baduashil. I thought in the first half he was again a liability, but I thought in the second half he was actually quite strong. That he defended that counter-attack with that tackle at the halfway line.
Yeah. This comes to mind, yeah.
He played nearly only 1 pass less than Thiago Silva, so 101 out of 107. So a lot of passes for our centre-backs today, as you can tell. But unlike Thiago Silva, he was actually in a lot of duels. 4 out of 6 ground duels he won, 2 out of 3 aerial duels he won. 2 out of 3 successful tackles as well. I thought in the first half he was a bit dodgy. In the second half, I thought he was good. So I'd give him a 6. I'd give him ever so slightly lower than Thiago Silva from my perspective. Even purely for the second half, I'd probably give Badiashile well, to be honest, for the second half, you can probably give the defenders 8 because in the second half we didn't concede. But maybe you know what? Actually, I'm going to give Badiashile a 6.5 as well.
Oh man, why are you doing this to me?
Were you going to say 6 again?
Actually, I'm gonna say a 5.5 now, so it goes to a 6.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean,
I'll go 6 and then you can go 6
yeah.
as well. It's okay.
You are right. You are right. He was a bit better than usual in the second half. In the first half, he was dodgy as usual. But what frustrates me again here is when when the when the play suits him, he can show his qualities. He wins aerial duels. He can make a good pass. He has relatively good positioning. The problem with him comes when he has to make a quick decision in his head. Then it's just like it's complete panic. It's like he's a footballer since 2 days ago, and he has no idea how to play football. And or at least this is what I see when I look at him. He looks very, very nervous when he has to play on the front foot. But when we are comfortable in possession, he always looks nice on the ball. He can make short and middle distance passes relatively well. But the second you put him under pressure, it's like I am there instead of him. And he's completely panicked. And I don't know why and how that happens consistently.
It's just confidence, I think. Like, for all of these players, right, in my opinion, for every single one of these players, if we were winning regularly, every single one of these players would be playing 2 levels better on average.
Oh, yeah, for sure, yeah.
Enzo Fernandez has been here for 18 months now, and he's won, I think, 14 games playing for Chelsea. Do you know what I mean? Like, that tells you everything you need to know. Like, of course, these players aren't going to be anywhere near their best. Like,
yeah, I know, but
it's a confident sport. Like, it just is.
It is, and that is correct. But this is what I don't understand. How, like, every game has some sort of stake to it. But the second we go under pressure in a football game, the second the opponent switches on, we crumble. And like, I don't know, how can your lack of confidence allow you to play safe, to play calm, and then just all of a sudden, when you see that the opposing player wants it more than you, when you see that they're attacking, when you see they have a plan, you just crumble. This I find strange because it's not very often you see that. Most of the time, people are.
I want to say because today and against Arsenal, obviously, we conceded super early, but then kind of found our feet in the first half again, which in other games previously this season and last season, that wasn't the case. So you could argue there was a bit like we almost reacted to that negative pressure a bit better. Against Arsenal, obviously, we started collapsing from the 2-0 because we knew we were dead. That was the most surprising and, for me, impressive thing about today. The fact that even at 2-0, we didn't seem to lose our heads. And that is different to usual. But obviously, it looks that way now because Gallagher scored a scream at the end. If we lose 2-1, then I'm going to sit here and say we collapsed again after the 2-0. Do you know what I mean? Because Villa didn't really put us under more pressure.
Yeah, and that's it.
Step back. So
the thing is, Arsenal did the same thing, and that's why between the 15th and the 40th minute against Arsenal, we also looked relatively good. We looked like we could get something out of the game. We knew we were not going to. Yeah, but the thing is, now every team that plays against us, they know we give them the ball, we stand behind the halfway line, and then let them attack and let Jackson miss a 1v1 with our goalkeeper. And this happens consistently. This is today the 3rd or 4th game in a row where Jackson does exactly the same. It's just today he scored 1 goal from an offside position. Otherwise, it's completely the same. We create chances for him. He sometimes creates chances for himself. He has good positioning, and then he completely scuffs the finishing shot. And when teams do that, they frustrate us. And on our side, you can only do some things as much as possible, but then at one point when you see that there are no end results, you get frustrated and then your heads drop. And this is what is happening to us most games. We attack. We don't score. We get punished. We attack some more. And then there is one moment where the confidence in everyone just breaks and we completely give up.
Yeah.
Today, that didn't happen. But apart from that, I think we did not give up, maybe not because we did something well. We did not give up because Aston Villa just gave up on attacking. Yeah. So today I can kind of say that in the second half, Emery completely, absolutely just surrendered the game, and Poch did a good tactical change. So that is why we came back. If Unai Emery had done something better, I don't know if we're going to come back.
Like Villa have a semi-final coming up on Thursday. So part of them dropping deep.
No, I mean, I understand. I understand. I'm just saying this game in a vacuum, why we got something out of it, in my opinion, is more to do with Aston Villa than with us. I mean, I really loved the passion in the second half. That's for sure. I'm a passion merchant as well. And when I see players screaming after goals and when I see players just running into tackle, just wanting to get the ball, I like it. But this was not due to some genius on our part. This was mainly because Aston Villa gave up.
One as well, isn't it? Because when you think back to February when we beat Villa in the FA Cup, that was
we smashed them
after the 6-0 against Everton, probably our second best game all season. And in that game, Villa pressed us high and we just destroyed them. So maybe that is also why they decided to sit so deep today, because last time they tried to press and it really didn't work. So I think part of why they sat so deep is also a reaction to what we did to them in February.
Maybe,
but because of where our squad is now, where we only had 11 outfield players available for the game.
Literally,
The one extra was Disasi on the bench, and everybody else was like we didn't have a senior attacker to bring on, not one. Like, should we have brought on a couple of these over Mudryk anyway? Yes, but we'll get to that. But yeah, it's an interesting one. But anyway, we give Badiashile 6 and we move over to Trevor Chalobah. Why don't you go first? Because you said you liked his bombing forward. I do think we also do need to talk about him more than the other centre-backs for the first goal in particular, because obviously...
it was on his side. Yeah.
I guess the cross for the second goal also came from that side, but it depends on whether you today see him as a right-back or as a right centre-back. Because if you see him as a right-back, he was terrible because he didn't defend the wide areas. Obviously, not in terms of pushing forward. I agree with you on that. But in terms
the thing is,
a right centre back doesn't need to defend the wide areas as much as a right back does. So it's tough.
He had a lot of ground to cover because, like we said, Madueke is not the best at defensive responsibilities. So this has to be factored in. But of course, defensively, he did not have a good game. I can say that safely. What I liked is that he showed, like I said, his passing range or his confidence on the ball, which we saw under Tuchel in the first couple of games when he came into the side and when we were very excited to have another young, exciting centre-back prospect. And basically since 2022, we have not seen anything like it from him. He was always playing super conservative. He was nervous. He was always injured. He had a mysterious injury which took him out for about 6 months with no news regarding it.
And even under Potter didn't really use him last year.
Yeah, so what I liked, like I said, is he looked confident, at least attacking on the ball. Hopefully, if we decide to keep him by some miracle, and if he gets to play, he can continue on this positive trajectory because there is talent in there, I believe. He has the physique, he has the agility, he can play in the air relatively well. I mean, and I think he passes the ball very well. He's probably our best short passer apart from Thiago Silva, because I always feel calm when he's trying to make these intricate combinations, these triangles with Caicedo and whoever the CDM is, in comparison to Badiashile and even Disasi, who have some kind of panic aura around them, if I can say so, especially Badiashile. Every time he gets the ball, and just I see it in his eyes, he sees the midfielder in front of him, and he is not sure if he should pass to him or to the defender next to him. And this split second of indecision making leads to him losing the ball or misplacing the pass.
But I firmly believe that is 95% on Pochettino, because, like you always say, our players don't know where to run and where to pass because we don't have patterns. And that's also why Enzo is struggling so much. Players like Enzo, like players that look for a pass, they need to know where his teammates are going to run.
This is true. This is true.
But at Chelsea, we don't have that. So therefore, the players need to receive the ball, then look, where is everyone? And in that period where they look and find someone, they lose the ball. And unfortunately, Badiashile is the one that happens to way more often than anybody else. But obviously, he needs to be quicker. It's still also his fault. But there's still some principle of it, which just... you're an expert. Did you read that thread, Dimitar? Your expert said he's not even sure if Pochettino works on the ball stuff in training. He may be just trying it off. I don't know if it's true, right? But
this
someone that analyzes
cannot be true.
Even has that idea shows you how bad we are on the ball. That's kind of all you need to know. But what rating would you give Chalobah today?
I would say 5.5 or a 6. I'm not sure, because attacking-wise, he was definitely one of our more dangerous players in the second half.
Maybe that will help you. Let me read out stats for you, because the stats are
let's see.
Impressive. So passing 87 out of 95. That's 92%.
Okay, yeah.
Good enough. Long balls 3 out of 4.
Okay.
Passes into the final third 12.
Wow.
Tackle, 5 out of 6. Ground duels 6 out of 7. And aerial duels 3 out of 6. So other than the aerial duels, they're all really impressive. So that's actually made me go a little bit up in what I'm going to
okay. So I'm going to go for a 6, but this 12 passes into the final third is just insane, actually.
Yeah. I mean, that's making me question the whole thing, whether he played centre-back or not.
I mean, in the second half, he was playing further up the pitch than Madueke, and Madueke went a bit more central, and that's how also we scored the first goal, because Madueke was so central, he could just sneak in that half space and just take the ball and shoot. I mean,
to be fair, I've just seen Thiago also had 9 balls in the final third. So
oh wow, okay.
Maybe it's just all our centre backs. Just I guess because Villa sat so deep, it was kind of easy.
This is also probably true, but still, I mean, 12 is impressive. 12 would be impressive for a Palmer, for example, or something like that. But for Chalobah, it's insane. But yeah, so 6 from me. I liked his confidence. I just want him to stay, because I think he has a better ceiling than Badiashile, and probably is better than Disasi already. So,
100%. I mean, at least Badiashile is younger than Chalobah, but Disasi is older than Chalobah and worse. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, oh my days. See, you said 6 now. I can't decide between a 6.5 and a 7. The problem is if I say 6.5.
The thing is, he was very bad defensively in the first half, and this cannot be just like forgotten. But
no, I agree. But then again, the stats just look so strong. Like also the defensive stats, like I say, like 6 out of 7 ground duels, 5 out of 6 tackles.
Well, really I mean, it's not like we're giving him a 2 anyway. But yeah, if you want to go high,
I'm just debating whether I want to make it another split or whether I just want to say 7.
I don't think you have enough time for so many polls on the live stream.
Exactly. So therefore, hey, you talked me into it. I'm going to say 7. That leaves us at a 6.5. I know that's a bit high now, but I couldn't do another poll. So
I mean, okay, if he has a 6.5, then let's push Thiago Silva to a firmly 6.5 as well, because I don't think he was worse for sure.
Okay, there you go. Fair enough. And then we move on to, well, in particular with Cucurella in the second half, but obviously Caicedo in the end won man of the match in total. Let's do Cucurella first, because obviously he played the first half at left wing back. Well, I think it was Cucurella that crossed the ball to Jackson for his free header. I'm sure Cucurella should have had an assist.
Yes.
Obviously, he had an own goal. Do I want to blame him for that? Like, it's, of course, 95% of it is getting unlucky. But that other 5% of it is obviously also alertness, paying attention to how you position compared to the goal. But that would be harsh to be critical of that. Passing accuracy, 92%. Crosses, 2 out of 4, which is actually pretty good. Long balls, 2 out of 3. Tackles, 1 out of 4. Ground duels, 4 out of 5. I just, in the first half, I didn't like he
got destroyed
from getting past him, to be fair, but he didn't take the ball away from him, because both goals that we conceded, Cucurella and Mudryk were defending on the left. They stopped them from crossing, but they didn't take the ball away. Then Villa shift the ball with a switch ball. Then the right-hand side is completely open, and then they cross on there and score. So is it their fault? Not directly, but sometimes you need to win the ball and not just stop them from getting past you, if that makes sense. But in the second half, I thought Cucurella was absolutely phenomenal.
Cucurella was what we want Enzo to be.
Sorry, say that again.
He was what we want Enzo to be next to Caicedo.
literally. Second half, he was unbelievable. Like, he himself, I don't know if it was because Villa were then confused who should be on Cucurella.
Maybe.
I don't know if we kind of pulled them that sense, or if it was just Cucurella doing great things in the box, in the middle of the pitch, because he also got himself in the box. He made runs trying to drag defenders away. His touches were good. His passes were good.
No, he was literally Enzo. If he had shaven his hair at halftime, we would think Enzo had already recovered from the surgery.
Literally. Again, I don't know what to give him, because in the first half, with the own goal, you'd probably give his first half a 5. I would.
The thing is, it's not the own goal. He got destroyed by Leon Bailey on maybe 3 separate occasions when he literally was falling on the ground. Now, nothing almost came of these situations, but Leon Bailey was really playing with him. And if it wasn't for Mudryk helping him a little bit to overload the zone, we would probably have considered a goal from his zone as well. So I think this has to be said.
It's a weird one, isn't it? Because when I go on SofaScore and their stats, they obviously have the dribble past stat, which is always a bit of a questionable one. But it says only once, which is like, I don't know. I just thought his second half was so impressive.
Second half was a lot better, yeah, for sure.
I don't know if I want to give him a 7. I kind of want to say 7. But maybe
I'm going to go with a 6 anyway. So if you go with a 7, it's a 6.5.
There you go. Problem solved. But
Yes.
if you wanted to add anything else, or
like you said, he was very impressive in the second half. What I really liked is normally my criticism of Caicedo is I don't see him at the right positions at the right time. Today that was different with him, but it was different especially with Cucurella in the middle. It looked like he was always in the right spots to either progress our attack, to either continue the attack, to either recycle the possession, or even to stop some of the opposing attacks, or at least limit the player from making that final pass. Because normally when we get countered, there is always one of our midfielders next to the person who makes the pre-assist. And our midfielder always fails to stop the pre-assist pass, and then we get countered and we concede a goal. I feel today he was very good. And if this is something we can build on, maybe using a left or right back as a midfield overload, this would be phenomenal, because I think
this screams Reece James, doesn't it?
Yeah. Also Gusto, I can imagine Gusto can also do that. I can imagine Chilwell can go there and just be a good defense.
I disagree. Chilwell can't do that.
Chilwell also can pass the ball very well.
Oh, he can pass the ball, but he doesn't know what to do under pressure. And in midfield, you have a lot more pressure than on the side. So I don't know.
Okay, yeah.
I don't rate
can be. Like that. Can be, but so my point is, if we can utilize this a bit better in games where we are not so chaotic, because in the second half we were chaotic, but we were good chaotic. In the first half, we just did not know what to do. We were organized, but no one had any clue what to do. So this would be interesting to see how it develops. Hopefully, Poch can adapt this change and react to how it can change our games. But let's see. I don't know.
There you go. It will be interesting whether we do that again or not. Obviously, might be part of it down to the way Villa played, that we decided to go for this. But because they obviously didn't attack at all, so there was more of a logic to pushing a left back into a central area. But then again, with how aggressive Cucurella is, that's kind of often what we lack in our midfield. Someone that's aggressive and actually knows how to tackle. So if that is added to our midfield, we will probably be way better all the time at stopping counterattacks by just having someone like that there. But yeah, it's a tricky one. Moving over to Moises Caicedo. He got the official man of the match. Dimitar, would you agree with that sentiment? And what rating would you give him?
I think, yeah, probably. Because today, I think I also liked Gallagher in the second half. His commitment was over the roof.
Yeah.
Even though it's almost always like that. Today, he looked like even more at it. For Caicedo, I would say probably a 7.5. Because today, he did what I want him to do. He has to be in the danger zone. He has to be in the area where the ball is. He has to be making last-ditch tackles. He has to be challenging for the ball. He has to be just in the face of the opponent and always making it hard for the enemy to just organize their attacks. And today I felt he did that, even though Villa did not try to organize a lot of attacks. I felt like he was in the right place to stop what he could possibly stop. So yeah, his movement was great. His passing was fine as usual. So I liked it. But again, I think this came with a lot of tactical changing, and this came with Villa just like giving up. Because normally he always looks very secure on the ball until the opponent decides to attack us. When the opponent decides to attack us with 2-3 players down the middle, we get run over. So today that did not happen. Maybe it was because he was too good. Maybe it was because they just did not want to do that. I don't know, but he played well. So I'm going to say he played well.
Fair dues. It is quite funny how that is true. We have said that a few times recently. Every week we're saying it's Caicedo's best game for Chelsea. We have said that a few times.
I mean, I say that very rarely, personally, but a lot of people on Twitter, every time at halftime, if I see another Caicedo masterclass tweet, I know we're not winning that game because in the second half, just some bullshit happens.
Yeah, no, it is true. And but I'm pretty sure he played the assist to Jackson's offside goal, I think.
Yeah. That
Obviously,
was very nice. Yeah.
But that was pretty good. Otherwise, stats are a strong 91% passing accuracy out of 71. Well, out of 78 passes, they completed 71. 1 out of 1 dribble, 2 out of 2 long balls. Tackles, interestingly, not great. Only 1 out of 5, but 11 recoveries, which is really good. And then the most impressive of the night, ground duels, 11 out of 12. Fair play. 11 out of 12 is very strong.
When I think about it now, what most impressed me is normally, you know what happens? He gets the ball, he moves around, he passes to the center back. Then he gets the ball again. He moves around, he passes to the right back. Then he moves along, he passes to the left back. Today, because Cucurella was so aggressive next to him, he could always pass the ball either to Cucurella or either attack some sort of free space himself because Aston Villa did not know how to mark Cucurella. So this opened up some space for him to just run with the ball at his feet or just to think what he can do. Because normally he always tries to pass the ball very quickly. But if the other players are not prepared, this just means he's passing it quickly to Thiago Silva. And then Thiago Silva is not quickly passing it back to him. And this is what we have seen all seasons. Yeah, and today it was not like that in the second half specifically. It looked like he had a purpose, which again I liked. Yeah.
Absolutely. See, I'm actually going to give him an 8.5, which I guess overall leaves us at an 8, because I actually thought it was, which maybe I'm going too high here, but honestly, it today felt like a case of if you take the first 5 minutes out where we went 1-0 down, after that, I think most of the team, other than Mudryk, and
we deserve to win.
Played a pretty good game.
Yeah, I think we deserve to win. Yeah.
I mean, obviously, we deserve to win, even if you use the whole game. But, take the first 5 minutes out, we played really well. I thought. Before we move on to the rest of the ratings, I want to quickly bring up a quote from Poch from after the game, which I found a really interesting one. He says, "I don't want to talk bad about the referee, but it is unbelievable. It's ridiculous. It's difficult to accept this type of thing. In the semi-final, I was humble, and the VAR said no penalty. In this situation, it is really painful as it has damaged English football, the image." I mean, I'd rather you complain in an FA Cup semi-final than you do in a random league game after you've already thrown the league all season long. I'll be honest, Poch. But hey, fans were like this because obviously they hated Potter for saying it is what it is. So fans were like this, I guess. Dimitar, I'm sure you saw Poch's quotes that came out late last night as well after embargo comments, where a lot of people were saying he's speaking as if he already knows he's been sacked. What did you make of that?
The thing is, I'm pretty sure the situation in the kitchen, so to say, at Stamford Bridge is very complicated right now because we hear all of these different noises. We hear that the players like Poch. We hear that he has been doing some things great, and then 2 days later we hear of something stupid that he said in training, for example, or we hear some stupid interview he does, and you don't know what to think, you don't know what to believe. I firmly believe after the second half that the players most probably want him to stay because it looked like they were playing for him and it looked like they were playing for the badge, which is what all fans want to see. But I don't know what the board would do. I don't know if even if he makes Europa League, do they keep him? Do they find a better alternative?
First of all, my hopes after today of making Europa League drastically smaller, especially because Newcastle won. And
points. For example,
See, well, my stance is if we get Europa League, no matter how much I don't rate Poch, I think you almost have to keep him because the other options aren't that much better.
Well, we say that, but how many logical decisions has this management made with Chelsea?
From what I would do, right? Or what they might do, you never know. I mean, I said today, Igbali is more likely to suck Poch off than to sack him. Like genuinely, he is. But like this was essentially the comment from yesterday that people were starting to say this about. Poch says he's not the only one on trial at Chelsea between now and the end of the season. Everyone is, sport directors included. I don't have the key of the club. I don't make all the decisions here. This has to be or is to be made clear. I mean, I will admit it does sound a little bit like a comment of someone that knows he's not going to be here. Also, was interesting that he spoke about the fact that, that he hasn't conversed with the owners in months.
Yeah, in almost in over 2 months. Yeah.
So I assume probably since the cup final. I assume that means. So interesting, because part of me is like, has he just had enough in the sense of playing along with the silly games? And he's like, you lot are all idiots. Let me tell you how it is. And then if you keep me, you got to give me more power. And if you don't keep me, well, then at least you know that the sport directors are also shit. The problem is, and I quoted this tweet with that, like, dead man walking, talking, sure. But if he took the sport directors with him, if that in some theoretical, hypothetical world happened, imagine
be a Chelsea legend
trying to find the sport director and the manager between now and June, or July. It's never going to happen, or it's never going to go well anyway. So,
if they need a sporting director, I can give him my number. I'll do the job very cheaply. I will not make worse transfers than we have made thus far. So,
if you become sport director, on every signing, you please need to do a poll in our group chat, and we decide who gets.
Yes, or every signing that Dharmesh suggests in the chat, I'm going to ignore completely.
Yes. Please do, for the love of God. Very interesting. I wonder if Poch is choosing the fans over the owners. Honestly, I don't think Poch gives two fucks about Chelsea fans, but because we don't give a fuck about him, so why should he give a fuck about us? Like, honestly, I wouldn't even expect him to. Like, it would almost be weird if you all we abused him all season, really. And he was at Spurs, so why would he like Chelsea fans? Obviously, he wasn't. But it's a tough one. Yeah. Hey,
it's interesting because you said about the power, because let's assume he stays. If he stays for the next summer, then for sure he has to have more power, because I cannot imagine him staying and then him saying, okay, I want to keep Gallagher, I want to keep Chalobah, and I want to keep another player. And then the board members tell him, oh no, we have to sell them for FFP. I can't imagine that happening. The only way I can imagine them selling Gallagher to Midfield is if, for example, if Poch is not here. Because I can't imagine Poch staying, them selling Gallagher, and then him being okay with that. I don't think this will happen.
Poch still wants new players.
Yeah, but so, I mean, I'm focusing on what we have, because for me, the worst decisions that these people make maybe are not with who they sign, are with who they let go, because they have no clue about football. And the only thing they see profit numbers, they see balance sheets, and they see who is homegrown and who will get money for FFP. And this is ultimately not how you run a football club.
No, of course it isn't. But we are in the position that we are in now. So you got to think that you have two options. Either you keep the likes of Gallagher and Chalobah and just about sell enough to break even with FFP, but then you can't sign anyone. Or you sell over the limit to allow you to actually sign players. So, we have to be realistic here. If we want to sign a top striker, whether that's Osimhen, Gyökeres, or whoever you want as your personal preference, whoever you want us to sign, if you want that to happen, it's not going to work while Chalobah and Gallagher stay. Because you need the pure profit. Because if you sell, say, Mudryk, he wouldn't bring us any profit in terms of financial fair play. So he wouldn't allow us to. I know.
And you are completely right.
So it's like.
And the thing is, I firmly believe the way we go forward is with as little new signings as possible. And if they have a more limited budget, it will mean that they will have to think more before they sign a player. Because the worst thing I can imagine is them selling Madsen, them selling Chalobah, them selling Gallagher, and maybe 2-3 more young players, and then they have 200 million to spend. And what will they do with that 200 million? They will sign 2 players of age 19, and that will be all. And then we will have to find some free agents or I don't know what to fill the squad again. So exactly. I don't want to see that happen. I much rather they sell one player, maybe they sell only Madsen, they sell some other unknown academy youth for 20 million to Crystal Palace. And then they have,
obviously, but
yeah. And then
you still need to sign a striker.
Yeah, and then they have the decision making if we have 50 million to spend, and we have to buy a striker. So now they have to think and they have to research. They just can't spend it on the best, most young, exciting talent out there because they can't afford it.
Yeah.
This, I think, would be the best scenario for Chelsea, just us not having money. Because us having money has proven that it's not working.
But we're already too late for that because we've already sold all the good academy players. Like if we were in this position, like Nini, Blue Lions TV put out a tweet today with all the academy players that we sold over the years. And if we have that 11,
it's disgusting.
We have a better team than we do in reality, which is just. Yeah. But of course, fans will. He's from Cobham. He's not good enough. English bias, merchants, Cobham sexuals. But now they're better than half of our players. Obviously, they're not. Yeah. I'm not saying they're better than like Caicedo or I don't know.
I mean, if you see the stats that Loftus-Cheek has for Milan this year, I'm not sure if he's not better than Caicedo.
To be fair, so like you got a more
but we have no midfield as it is, so another number 10 would not have changed anything, I believe.
No, it absolutely wouldn't. And we didn't exactly sell him for much, did we? But anyway, let's get back into these player ratings and let's just get it out the way, shall we, Mudryk? Dimitar, I put it on the thumbnail and title, is Mudryk shit? Because I have defended my guy Misha for a long time. And there was periods early in the season when he played well, scored, got dropped. Played well, influenced the game, got dropped. Came from the bench and scored, still on the bench next game. But now, because of...
Now we see why he was on the bench.
Sorry?
Now we see why he was on the bench.
Kind of, yeah, exactly. But now that Sterling is first of all injured, and even before the injury, Poch started to just not use him anymore for some kind of odd, well, not odd reason in terms of that I disagree with it, but odd in terms of that he still played him for 3 quarters of the season, and then all of a sudden he doesn't, which I still find a bit strange. But anyway, Mudryk, man. There's so much wrong. Like, that you can see that he can, like, the base of a great footballer is there, but he just doesn't know how to use it. He just doesn't know. Like, I like the fact that he tried to shoot a few times today? Yeah, I do. But he hit the fucking corner flag, man. And then after he hit the corner flag, he didn't even try again. Like, surely you cannot leave the last shot you have as being hit in the corner flag. When that happens, you need to go again. You need to try again. And that's one of, like, I have my issues with Madueke. But that's what I love about Madueke. Madueke will keep on trying no matter what happens. Whether he gets fouled, whether he messes it up, no matter what happens, Madueke will keep trying and trying.
Yeah,
this
is true. Yeah, this is true. Yeah.
And Mudryk does 2 things a game, whether they go good or bad, and then he's nowhere to be seen again. And this is almost every time he plays.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, why, bro? Like, he was kind of useless in the first half when he was central. He was useless in the second half when he was wide. He didn't make... I always complain he doesn't make the runs. There was one occasion where I actually saw a run and Badiashile didn't pass it to him. But it's just not enough. And do I fully think he's shit? No, I don't. And do I think that a better manager can get an attacking... Maybe I shouldn't fully say better manager, because Poch is a good man manager. I think that has to be agreed upon. But a better attacking manager. Can they get more out of him? Yes, I do believe that. But my God, you're 23. Like, you're not, like, if he was 18, 19, this is all fine. But he's 23, and I know he hasn't played a lot of senior games. And he was loaned out within Ukraine when he was already 20. Like, compare that to someone like Hudson-Odoi, right, who was playing for Chelsea at 17. But it's just not enough at the moment. And he's had a lot of chances recently, many different types of games against big teams, against lesser teams, big opponents, like big occasions like FA Cup semi-finals, random league games where we're like hoping to scrape it into Europe like today. And kind of on all occasions, he's kind of just hidden, really, for the most part. And it's just, that's what I find the most disappointing bit. Like I say, if he was at least like Madueke, that he, every time he got the ball, he took the man on and he tried something, then I think all of the fans would also be much more accepting. But when you do 2 things a game and then just hide, people are not going to be happy with you. And in terms of today, I don't know what to rate him today purely. Let me bring up the stats. Passing, all right, 18 out of 23. There was 1 or 2 where it really annoyed me, like the pass that he chose. Dribbles, 2
yeah.
Okay, at least he completed 2, I suppose. Ground deals, 3 out of 8. I'm going to give him a 2 today. What would you give him, Dimitar? I'm
going to say a 3, but not because he did something special, just because I think the whole team kind of got uplifted in the second half. That includes him. He showed some kind of minimal passion, and he was there, and we played well in the second half, so he must have done at least something right.
But he was the least involved of everyone.
Yes, so okay, he was not getting in the way of the others, so hence the 3. But I think I said it on one of your streams a couple of months ago. I think what his only chance is for him to have another player for rotation on the left wing. He cannot play every game because even if he improves on something, he lacks so much of what is required to be a professional Premier League player that I believe he needs time to play a game, to then rest, rethink what he has learned, see the next game from the stands, look at what the team is doing, and then maybe process it. Because
if they're all talking about his lack of football IQ, then him watching the game is not what's going to help them.
Well, I mean, but the thing is, he was best when he played a couple. He played. He got benched. He played well. He got benched. He played well. He missed 2 games. He played. He impacted the game. So this was kind of a small cycle where we could see how he could be useful.
True.
The thing is, at that point, Sterling was probably at his worst form for Chelsea in that specific period. So the second that Sterling started getting booed, Poch said, okay, I'm going to play Mudryk in that position. And we all thought, okay, let's see. But the fact that Mudryk has almost no alternative and means that Sterling has to get up at the 75th minute every game does not help Mudryk, because once he is lost in a game, I much prefer him to be subbed at the 50th minute rather than wait 80 minutes for Sterling to come on and just do nothing. And maybe if we get, because I assume we're going to get rid of Sterling in the summer, we should try and get some like low budget 29-year-old left winger who can just
almost
play.
Like
Yes. Yeah, something like that. A player who can just rotate with Mudryk, because I firmly believe even if we don't get Europe, if we have a player to rotate with Mudryk, to give him more rest, to give him time, to give him space, maybe he can be better next year. And if he makes a good run of games, then my God, start him every game. But if he is impactful, if he's doing something right, because right now we are starting him because we have zero alternative. And in football, when your confidence is low, when nothing you are doing is working, just playing game after game does not help.
Yeah.
And if someone disagrees with that, they should look at the first 15 games of Fernando Torres at Chelsea until it took him to score a goal, which was insane because everyone was seeing he should not be playing every.
Because even after that, Torres wasn't great.
Yeah, but actually, if you look at his stats per minute, they are not that bad.
No, this not is that bad, but he was supposed to be the best striker in the world.
Yeah, yeah. But the thing is, he spent 14 games without scoring a goal. Yeah. And he constantly kept getting played and getting substituted and getting played, and people were expecting it from him. Yeah, but this is another story.
But you should, from the most expensive striker at the time.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
As you should. Because if you then drop him, that also doesn't help their confidence, right? That's kind of the.
I believe it's not more dropping; it's just like tactical rotating. Because
obviously, but the players won't see it that way, will they? They will say, "Fuck's sake, I'm done."
Yeah,
but what annoys me is that we have Tyreek George on the bench, who I don't watch the youth really, but everyone that does tells me he is brilliant. So when Mudryk is having a howler all game, why not bring him on? Like, obviously,
this is true.
The shape today, and we didn't have a left back. Obviously, then when Mudryk then was wide again second half, you're like, there's a lot of responsibility.
This is true. This is true. You are right, and this is where I believe that there probably are some hidden expectations or some hidden, things that Poch must do. Because I am pretty sure that when he came in, they gave him a long presentation on who the expensive players are and who he has to use almost every game. Because I don't believe that the board would just hire him and tell him, okay, we spent 100 million on Enzo, 115 on Caicedo, 70 on Mudryk, but you cannot play them. If you think that they're not good enough, just stick them on the bench. I don't think this happens behind the scenes. I think they tell him, okay, we want you to get the best of our assets because he is on an 8-year contract. So if we don't get the best out of him, it's money wasted. And we don't want to waste money. But the problem is that the board don't realize that they have already wasted the money. And if the player is not good enough, which I'm not saying he is definitively, but if he is not good enough, no manager can rectify that. But because these people know nothing about football, they probably think that, oh, well, if this manager doesn't use Mudryk well, the next one will, or the next one. And we are 4 managers deep with Mudryk, and no one has used him well apart from Poch using him as an impact sub in 10 games or 5 games. So
but it's weird because there was also a period this season where he was always bad when he came off the bench and only decent when he started. It's like so hot and cold with Mudryk. You just don't know what you're gonna get.
You can see his inexperience.
Alone is just if you
no loan.
Kill his confidence. You might as well just like terminate.
Also, we can't afford to loan him because if we sell Sterling and loan Mudryk, then we have to buy 2 wingers.
Think we're selling Sterling, if I'm honest, bro. Purely because, first of all, who will take him other than the
Saudi Arabia?
Will be happy with the wages, but also then that means we need to buy another winger again.
Yeah,
like we're not going to sign 7 players this summer, and we already need a left back. We already need a goal.
Like I told you, we just have to. They will have to be smart with the money. If they are not smart with the money, we're gonna fail. If they don't try to be smart with the money, we're gonna fail for sure.
Well,
I mean, they can try and we can fail as well, but
yeah.
I think
if you need a striker as well, like you're not going to sell Sterling because I just see it.
Well,
who knows?
They can always make some shenanigans with Saudi Arabia, sell Sterling for 25 million, cut his wages, and then
that's what annoys me. Like if we're doing shenanigans, sell him for 60. Like that pisses me off. Like fucking Gary Neville last summer. We're doing some dodgy shit with like Saudi Arabia. I'm like, bro, we got 25 million for Koulibaly. What do you mean shenanigans? Maybe that at the time still reigning UEFA goalkeeper of the year, we got what 18 million for? What do you mean shenanigans? Fuck off! Like we sold them for scraps. That's what we did. Anyway, enough about that. Mudryk, fix up, please. But anyway, before we move over to Madueke, let's quickly do Gallagher because obviously first half he was kind of midfield. What a goal!
Amazing, and with his left foot, and with the left foot, insane.
Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. By the way, I don't know what happened with Emiliano Martinez. He didn't look injured first half, and all of a sudden Olsen came on.
Yeah.
Martinez is suspended for their Conference League game.
Yes, because he got 2 yellow cards. Yeah.
Well, like thinking, are they like giving him game time or whatever? But then
this may be the case.
Yeah, but then later on they were speaking as if he was injured. So I don't know, but it certainly didn't work out for them, did it? So
yeah, I mean. He's not a good goalkeeper, this guy.
Probably saves Madueke's goal, if I'm honest, even though it's a good finish. But Martinez is just a really good keeper, especially on the line.
Yeah.
Anyway, what a goal from Gallagher. And in general,
amazing.
I thought he had a decent game. Not a great game, but a decent game. 95% passing accuracy is strong. Crosses 0 out of 3. Could be better. Let's say that. Ground duels 3 out of 8 could also be better. It's a tough one to judge because, again, first half he was as one of the centre mids. Second half, he was one of the 10s. So it's a bit difficult because his creative numbers won't be as high as you'd like, and his defensive numbers won't be as high as you'd like because he kind of split the roles. But that goal was just utterly phenomenal.
Insane, absolutely.
Would you say goal of the season for us? Obviously?
For us, it's either that or the Palmer hat-trick goal versus Everton. One of these two for sure.
True, I forgot about that one. Yeah. For me, I will always at least give a special shout out to that. Remember, was it Bournemouth where Palmer controlled it and then ball rolled it around the keeper?
Yeah, I mean that was very much that was the technical goal. Yeah, but for goal of the season, you need some shot power and you need it to be from at least 25 yards out.
True. But Joe, that is a good point actually. If Noni's shot had been saved, we would have got a penalty.
Yeah, because someone was on the ground screaming. I can't remember. Was that not Gallagher? Yeah.
So but shout out Gallagher because he would have won a penalty on that occasion as well. He more than heavily impacted that game, shall we say? So I don't think we should go over the top because there was still
no
Gallagher things. But I think a 7 with that Worldie is about fair. What rate would you give him, bro?
I think he deserves a 7.5 overall, so I'm gonna say an 8. So we go for 7.5.
7.5.
But I think I mentioned it earlier. Normally he plays with a lot of passion, but today it was over 9,000. In the second half, I could feel it that he really wanted this comeback to come to fruition, and I think he was also everywhere. Like Kukurev was always finding the right space and the right passes, and I feel Gallagher was also doing that, but like 20 yards further up the pitch. Mm-hmm. I think he was causing a lot of trouble for Villa. They did not know how to handle him, and he had his usual agility and speed. And also, he almost always goes for the tackle full of passion. He's not like going to go out of a challenge because he's scared or anything like that. So
he will never do that.
I mean, I'm also a passion merchant like you, so I really love that as well. And I think he's been very useful. And I am not gonna live it down if we sell him. I'm just gonna.
I still fear that we will, but I will hate every second of it. It seems like the chat would even go higher. I've seen 8s, 9s, 8.
I mean, the thing is, if we had won the game, he would probably get an 8.5 from it because that goal was outrageous. That goal was insane.
100%. I agree. We'll leave it at 10.5, but
10.5 is fine, I think. Yeah.
Let's move on to Cole Palmer. I want to keep Madueke before Jackson. One of his quieter games. I let him off, though, first of all, probably still half ill. Let's be real.
Yeah.
Because we didn't have any other players available. Yeah. So if he didn't play, who the fuck else would have done?
If he was not available, they were going to come in our group chat and look for whoever was free tonight to go and play. Literally.
And the first one that would have said something, fucking Darmesh, would have been screwed.
Yeah.
But yeah, Cole Palmer, 80% passing accuracy. He still tried 2 out of 3 successful dribbles, 1 out of 5 crosses, 2 out of 3 long balls, 2 out of 5 ground duels. It's just a shame that he missed that last one because obviously before the whole VAR robbing stuff happened with Disasi, Cole Palmer was 1-1 with the keeper, and he could, again, we touched on it earlier, he could have squared it, but because he was under pressure, I understand that he didn't see that. Again, it just, because it happened to be Kazadai, if it's Gallagher next to him, I guarantee Gallagher screams his lungs out for the
Probably,
pass.
yeah.
I don't know if Kazadai did that, because obviously he's young and it's Palmer on the ball. Like, will you really ask Palmer to give you the ball when he scored 20 goals already? Do you know what I mean? But obviously that should have been 3-2. And especially for him with how much he has scored, that should have been 3-2.
He deserved the goal, but yeah, I mean,
yeah. He created the most chances in the game apparently with 3, so that's good, I guess. Is it harsh if I say 6.5? I think 6.5 is fair as well.
I was gonna say exactly the same thing because I think he looked kind of sloppy, but now when I think about it, he was probably ill, really, because even though he was very aware to create that chance in the 90th minute, most of the game he did not look like he was looking for those opportunities to take the ball off the opposition, to press someone, to get someone under pressure, to go in the half space, because normally this is one of the things I like under Poch, which we do is in the final third when the opponent is playing with the ball in their first third, and in our final third we are very aggressive and we always find a way to sneak the ball, to take it and just score a goal. And today that was missing. Maybe because Villa were too pinned back, but also I think Palmer was not as sharp as usual. So 6.5, even though he basically did nothing wrong, it's just we expect so much more of him because he has proven he can do so much more.
Exactly. I just quickly, it's because there's been a point in the season where I thought maybe a 3-4-3 is kind of what we should play as almost at base.
Oh no,
Palmer seems very much suited to being an inside forward, but kind of today I feel like you saw why. Maybe obviously it's only a one-off game, so that's not a conclusion necessarily, but I felt that because Madueke was always wide of him, Palmer was kind of limited in where he could go and what he could do.
And also in the second half, Chalobah was bombing that right-hand side, so Palmer had nowhere to go where he usually goes and where he usually picks up the ball to create something dangerous. He was supposed to just stand in the middle and just create something out of nothing. And you can't force that thing normally.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I just felt he was a bit limited in where he could go, and especially because Villa obviously set so deep. If you have the opponents all around you and your own teammates, it is obviously more difficult to find space. Let's get to Noni Madueke. The guy has received a lot of criticism recently in terms of for laughing in the background of Thiago Silva crying,
taking penalties,
exactly, trying to steal penalties off Cole Palmer and stuff like this. And even today for the first goal, even the chat already today was already Madueke's fault here, Madueke's fault there. And obviously to some extent right, especially if we see it as he was almost playing right wing back. Okay, it's right mid, but right mid with a back 3 behind you, you still need to do your defensive duties. But for me, the reason we didn't lose this game today is Madueke. I don't. Maybe you disagree with this. Maybe the chat disagrees with this. But I felt the only player looking dangerous and almost scaring Villa off us and dragging us back into this game was Madueke. He had that one where he went past Digne and then shot just wide. That was not long before he then got the 2-1. That goal was good as well. Obviously, it was Palmer's press, then Gallagher's touch, and then Gallagher got fouled anyway. But it falls to Madueke. It's a good first-time finish. He gets the assist for... Which goal did he get the assist for? Well, we only scored 2. So obviously... so yeah, I guess he got the assist for Gallagher as well. But yeah, and also his celebration, the way he was like, come on, like, we're fighting for Chelsea here. Like, I don't know. We talked about it enough already, give it up. We're passion merchants. So
yep,
he was
all the way.
2-1 down, but like, come on with the badge and stuff. Like, I enjoyed it. I gotta say, I really enjoyed it. And I know he was at fault for the goal, but I'm still gonna give him an 8 because I feel like he was the guy that dragged us back into this. And I know you're gonna go a little bit less. That's also maybe why I went a little bit higher.
Yeah.
But yeah, I felt he was the guy that dragged us back into this. Yeah, that's my perspective. Good passing accuracy, 88%, 4 out of 6 dribbles, which is really strong. Okay, crosses, not so much, 0 out of 3, but still. Ground duels, 7 out of 11 is also pretty good. 2 out of 2 aerial duels as well. He did good today. He had 5 recoveries too. I honestly think he did good. What would you give him? I understand.
I'm going to go for a 7, so we get a 7.5, because I think that's what he deserves, basically. He was better than Palmer. He was probably on the same level as Gallagher, even though he did the mistake for the first goal. He was, like someone said, I think you or someone else in the group chat, he was basically carrying our attack on his back in the second half as well. Even though everyone was playing better than the first half, he was still the most impactful, maybe, or at least on the eye, because he looked for the ball, he was fast, agile, and he wanted to be direct, which is something that he always does. But today there was more urgency to the entire team, so it worked a little bit better, I believe. But yeah, I like Noni. He's basically a 7 years younger Sterling, who is very raw and who just needs coaching, and he needs consistency to improve, I believe. He can be a great player.
Disrespecting a young Raheem Sterling here, how good Liverpool.
No,
Raheem Sterling was part of
Sterling. I mean, Noni is also good, but the thing is, Noni. Oops, sorry. Noni has been playing in the Premier League since he's 20, basically last year. Sterling played since he's 15 or 16, so he had a lot of time, and he also played with Suarez, with Sturridge, with Steven Gerrard, so he could learn a thing or two of great players. Noni has no one to learn from. So hopefully...
I mean, he does have Sterling, I guess. But
yeah, but I like Sterling, and I don't see him as a teacher in that sense, or as someone who can pass down knowledge.
Really well. Like I've seen Noni say a few times that Sterling has kind of taken him under his wing and stuff. But I don't know if that's necessarily about on the pitch or more off the pitch stuff. I don't.
Yeah, so he took him under his wing, and Noni started taking penalties from Palmer. Great influence, bro.
Fantastic. Sounds like Raheem Sterling, to be honest.
Yes, I know. But yeah, I mean, I feel he's...
with a few people in the chat saying that he needs to... Well, it would be good if he had a right foot. No, I agree. But that is a left-footed people's problem. Like, have you ever seen Robin do anything with his right foot? I haven't. Do you know what I mean? Like, did you ever see Gareth Bale or Ian Robin do anything with their right foot? Even Messi used his right foot like 1 in 10. Do you know what I mean? It's just a left foot. Like, it's annoying, absolutely. But it's still a thing. Like, Havertz as well, he don't have a right foot, does he? None of them. I don't know why. There's a few out, like very rare ones that for some reason are left-footed and use their right foot well. But yeah, there you go. To be honest, I think a 7.5 is probably where I'd like to go roughly. But I wanted to go a bit higher. Maybe I've overdone it. But hey, overall,
he was good, so we can't deny that. Even if he fucked up a little bit, he was good. So
exactly, especially there with. Sorry, you've never watched Gareth Bale play football if you think he had a great right foot. I think in his whole career, he probably touched the ball with his right foot about like fucking hell. That is also true. He only occasionally has a left foot as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, a lot of people in the chat or a few people in the chat, I should say, would have gone something different. I've seen the 6.8 for some reason, 6.57, 6.5. I think that's very harsh on Noni, and I'm curious about.
I mean, 6.5 is harsh. Maybe 7. You could also say 7, but the thing is, we didn't win the game, but we showed attacking potential. So I guess 7.5 is fine.
The one least at fault for us not winning this game. Do you know what I mean? I mean, I guess with the goals, he was maybe not least at fault, but in terms of not scoring more, he was least at fault as well.
Yeah.
There you go. Let's go on to Nicholas Jackson, who once again proved that he is the best striker in the world at doing everything but scoring.
Yes.
I actually thought he was really good at everything
He was.
other than his header and being offside that one occasion.
I mean, also the header was hit the post. It's not like he hit it the other
but
side
it
of
was
the.
really unmarked. The goalie was in the
Yeah.
other corner. It has to be a goal, man. Like
I mean, this was almost a goal.
it was almost a goal. Yeah, it's a tough one today. Honestly, I'll probably give him a 6 because I'll take a half or maybe a full point off for the header or for not scoring, I should say. But I do think overall he actually played a good game and helped us link up, and especially for how deep Villa said, that's always where Jackson.
He got a lot of the ball actually. Yeah,
exactly.
I mean,
he just doesn't seem like the kind of player, the kind of striker that would almost thrive when there's no space. But somehow he manages to always. He drops deep when he has to. He makes runs. He lays the ball off. He holds the ball up. Like honestly, if he could finish, he'd be unbelievable. But
for sure.
Have we said that at Chelsea? Like how many strikers have we had?
Well, this is true.
So many things other than finishing.
But I am kind of starting to like Jackson more and more because I think even though he does not seem very intelligent when he's constantly getting yellow cards for nothing, I think he reads the game very well. Because a lot of strikers like to drop deep and like to take the ball. But I feel like almost every time that he does it, it contributes very positively to our attack. And this is not something that is very normal because most of the time, if you watch, for example, Man United this year, if you see Rasmus Højlund, he just keeps strolling down the middle of the pitch, not knowing what to do. He gets the ball and instantly passes it around and then starts running forward, which brings nothing. But when Jackson goes a little bit back, he gets the ball, he always tries to take people on, he always tries to run in space, he always tries to be dangerous. And I think almost every time it works out. Not that we're scoring goal every time he takes the ball from midfield, but I feel like every time he's trying to do something, which I see as positive. And especially we have seen with him those runs either from the left or from the right, where he can take the ball and just run with it and not lose and control it very well and then just go into a dangerous position. And I like it. We saw he kind of doesn't have a left foot or he doesn't trust it against Man City, but we saw against Everton that when he decides to shoot, the left foot is actually there and can be used in emergency settings. But yeah, I mean, I really like him. I think he would thrive if the goal burden is not solely on him. Because this year, let's face it, no one was expecting Palmer to score almost any kind of goals. And the fact that he scored is amazing, but no one was expecting that. So from the beginning, all of the burden was on Jackson. All of it. Because we have no other goal scorer.
People obviously in the chat, Joe said this here, okay, Dimitar, but then play him as a 10 or as a winger, but that's not his job. Like, his job is to score. Like, who said it there a minute ago?
I kind of agree with that because I think I have said here on other streams, I would love to see him as a left winger. If we, let's say, hypothetically, we buy Ivan Toney, let's say, hypothetically, we sell Sterling, well, we keep Armando Broja as a backup for Toney. What stops us next year to just play Jackson as a left winger and then sub Mudryk on for him or sub Mudryk on as a left winger and move Jackson in another position when we need to score goals? I think Jackson would be best as a goal-scoring left center forward winger type. I don't think he has shown enough to be the main goal scorer through the middle. Also because we seem to have now a lot of players who just like to go central because Palmer, he likes to find those zones in the middle. Noni also because he has no right foot, he has to go through the middle. So if we get Jackson, who seems dangerous running with the ball at his feet, who seems dangerous off the left, let's use him as a left winger style forward and get a center forward to play off him. Because, I mean, for me, that makes sense. I don't know if people would agree with that. I don't know if Chelsea would agree with that, but I think he could have a decent future at the club, but I don't see it as a center forward or as a sole center forward.
Can I there was obviously Poch spoke about this in the press conference and he said if he had another striker, he might, I'm not saying he would, but he might play Jackson left wing as well. My only problem with that is that if we were to do that and almost long-term turn him into a left winger, we just wasted a whole year of Jackson's development by playing him striker. Like, if we did turn him into a left winger now, then what was the whole fucking point of this season for him? Do you know what I mean? Like,
the thing is,
he's now learned to be a striker in the Premier League, how to hold up, how to like get involved. Sure, his finishing is a problem, but he's learned to be a striker, and now, like, and I even agree that he would be good there. I 100% agree with it. It's just, it just would annoy me so much more again about our squad building. I'm like, so you signed a player who used to be a left winger, then Villarreal turned him to a striker. You buy him, don't buy another striker, play him striker all season, and then realize actually we want to play him left wing after you bought Mudryk for £65 million, and you have Sterling there, who you bought the year before, and then you actually bought a striker who should be left wing. Like, it's just such a bad sign for our squad building.
When you say it like that, yeah, but what my way of thinking is kind of, if we get another striker, Jackson off the left would be an option. This, of course, does not mean that he has to play every game there, or that we will play a 4-3-3. I mean, why don't we try and play a variant of the 4-4-2? Like, if you watch Real Madrid, they play with two center forwards or two quick runners, and then they have Fede Valverde, who sometimes plays as a part of the midfield, sometimes go deep and just runs forward with the forwards. Why can't we do something like that? Why
can do that?
No, but I mean, let's entertain the possibility we use a formation which is more fluid, which does not mean that if Jackson is starting off the left, that means he has to stay there the whole game. Like,
fluid formations require 100% concentration.
Yeah.
We know our players aren't capable of that.
Well, for the striker role, maybe not that much. I mean, for the midfielders, for sure.
But if you're going to do fluid, the whole thing has to be a bit.
Yeah,
fluid,
but
right? Like from midfield upward.
I believe, like, every week people come here, or not only here, people say we have amazing, generationally talented players. They're good on the ball. They are amazing. They are phenomenal. They are super talented. Well, if we have these players, I think we can try to do stuff like that. I mean, I know it's only theory crafting, and I know people will say, well, yeah, this is complicated and stuff like that. But I just think if we have the option to play Jackson on the left wing and have another goal scorer, this would be just beneficial for us in the long run. I mean, even if we get, let's say we get an Ivan Toney would not demand to play every game. And if we buy him for 40 million, we will not have to play him every game as a striker.
Whether he starts or not, though.
Yes, of course. And also Jackson, we bought him for 35 million, and also he doesn't look like the guy who would moan if he sits 2 games on the bench, for example. Or at least that's my opinion of him. He looks like a player who is hungry, and if he sees, okay, I have an opportunity on the left wing, on the right wing, as a number 10, as a center forward, I think he will try to take it, and he will do his best. If he will succeed is a whole different story. But I see him as a player who can be the future of Chelsea and give us options in attack. Because he can play 1-2 seasons as a striker, he can play 1-2 seasons as a left center forward. If we keep winning games, if we start winning games, and if we keep the core of this team, and if we try to improve, I mean, no player will have a fixed position for 10 years. I mean, Drogba started out as a right winger and as a very chaotic forward, and he ended up as a static center forward who was an amazing finisher. Lampard started as an 8.
With age. Obviously, age.
Yeah, of course. But, I mean, also at 27, Drogba was not the same player as he was at 23. So Jackson is Jackson is 22 now. I mean, we cannot say for sure, he has to spend his entire career as forward or winger.
The only thing I'm saying is he used to be a winger for all of his youth career. And then Villarreal turned him into a striker only very recently.
The thing is, this is very easy to recognize.
Yeah, isn't it too soon to already question his striking abilities? Like, he's only done that for now 2 seasons, not even. Like, 1.5 seasons he's played striker for. Considering that, he's really good as a striker. Like, considering he's only started playing there less than 2 years ago, he's crazy good at that. But, yeah.
Well, I mean,
I agree with you. If we get, like, a high-profile striker, whether that's a Tony or whether that's an Osimhen or a Gyökeres or whoever, right? Whoever it ends up being.
I actually don't want a high-profile, expensive striker. I would much rather get a 20 to 40-year-old to 20 to 40 million pound player who we can just rotate with. Because if we get Osimhen, this will mean he has to start every game.
You need to leave Jackson as a striker.
Yeah, but if we get Osimhen, then Osimhen has to start every game.
Yeah.
And then if we keep Sterling and Mudryk, which is, like you said, maybe likely, then where does Jackson play?
If we
And we
sign
also have
Sterling,
Nkunku.
maybe we sell Sterling purely for funds, but it depends on how much money you get. Because how much did we buy him for 2 years ago? 60
No
million,
idea.
was it?
No, I think 45 or something like that. It was not more than 50 million euros for sure.
Let me check. Sterling
But
to
and
Chelsea.
also we have to remember we have Nkunku, so maybe
You're not
we
wrong, actually, it was 50 million including add-ons.
add-ons
Well,
which they will never get because we will never win anything with him.
No, obviously not. Well, yeah. So,
but yeah,
even so after this, you still have 30 million on him on the books. So you'd need to get more than 30 million to get a profit out of him. Which is that going to happen? Is anyone going to pay more than 30 million for him? I doubt it. Hey, unless, like you said, some shenanigans with the Saudis, maybe they give us 50. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, it's a tough one. Sorry, bro. I know it's half an hour ago that I gave Jackson's rating. Did you agree with the 6, or would you go for something different?
I'm gonna go 7, so he gets a 6.5 because I think he did everything right today, apart from scoring a goal, which is his job.
Someone in the chat wanted to give him a 2.
Nah. I mean, he brings so much to the team, and I mentioned it briefly. Why not also maybe if Nkunku is fit next season, Nkunku false 9, Jackson on the left, Palmer on the right, or Madueke on the right, and then Nkunku and Palmer centrally, just constantly changing positions. The thing is, we need to have people fit, and we need to make sure we have options. Because what the board made sure last summer is we have no options. Because, like we have said multiple times here, the original plan was to sell Gallagher and use Lavia, Caicedo, and Enzo the whole season as a midfield 3. Or as a midfield 2 and sometimes midfield 3. So the board made sure last season we have 0 options. If we manage to secure some options and to do something to ensure that we have, for our manager, whoever he is, at least a little bit of leeway, at least a little bit of help for him, that would be great. Because forcing any new manager to play 7 players every single game because there is no alternative would not be beneficial for anyone.
No, it wouldn't be. And obviously, a lot of people in the chat have now spoken about Nkunku. Sure, had Nkunku been fit, you never know what this season would have brought. Would Palmer have been as good as he was if Nkunku...
No, I mean, this season is irrelevant. I'm saying for the future because now we saw Jackson is good on the left. Jackson is good playing on the right. Jackson has a lot of good qualities. How can we use that to the best? Is it as a center forward or as a left winger or as a whoever? I don't know. But that was my point, kind of.
No, I see your point, and I agree with your point. What I'm trying to say is in terms of what you spoke about, leaving us no options. Obviously, the options seem more limited when you've spent the whole season not having your options available.
Yeah.
Right. If Nkunku is there, if a Carney Chukwuemeka is there, we may be speaking about it completely differently. Because, like, you talk. I mean, I don't know obviously how you rate Firmino, for example, Joe Barter, but Firmino in our system, we would have hated him. Right, because he would have done a lot of things right, but not scored enough. A bit like Jackson, and would have scored even less than Jackson, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But because he had Salah and Mane next to him, who played as inside wingers, who it was Firmino's job to bring them into play. And I also believe without Jackson, Palmer doesn't have the season he has.
Probably, yeah.
Jackson is as a striker helped someone like Palmer for me. But so it's like, sure, the striker is supposed to score goals, but it depends on, like, Firmino wasn't Liverpool's main guy for goals. It was Salah and Mane. And, you know, then they lost Mane, and then they realized, okay, now we need a striker that scores a bit more. And now they sit there with Darwin Núñez, who is basically like Jackson, except Darwin Núñez isn't as good, like, link-up play with the ball, like hold-up play. Darwin Núñez is just a pace merchant that loves a running behind. But again, it's down to...
details, but they're basically the same player.
Klopp wants him to play like that as well, obviously. If Jackson played for Liverpool, he would be playing like Darwin Núñez, not like he is for us. Right. But yeah, obviously we only made 2 subs, Casadei and Disasi. Casadei could have had a goal if Palmer squared it.
Actually, yeah. And Casadei was not that bad.
No.
Disasi had a goal.
Other than that, he was next to thing. He had... Actually, he attempted 4 passes. He only completed 1.
Seriously?
Apparently.
Wow.
Apparently. And yeah, Disasi obviously scored, but it was ruled out. So you could say the subs were fantastic, but obviously it didn't quite work out this way. By the way, the poll for Petrovic has quite clearly fallen 74 votes we had, but 62% to 38% for the 4. So we shall give Petrovic that 4. And we finish it off with a rating for Pochettino. See, it's not very often in recent week, Dimitar, that Pochettino wasn't on the thumbnail and in the title. And at Chelsea still losing 2-1, I still had him there. But then obviously the 2-2, then I had Gallagher there, and then the whole Disasi stuff happened. It's a tricky one for me today because the setup in the first half wasn't particularly great.
It was awful. It was awful.
Yeah, no, it was awful. I agree. But as in, he didn't, like, in terms of personnel, he didn't have a single other option. Like, the only change you could have made was play Disasi instead of one of Adiachil, Silva, or Chalobah.
I mean, in terms of results on the pitch, it was awful in the first half, the setup,
But then the tactical change with Cucurella putting him in midfield, first of all, it was finally something like a bit more intricate than counter-pressing and trying to score on a counter. But also, it just worked. And like I said, even the subs, as much as they were his only real valid options, other than Tyreek George, who I still think should be at least coming on in these situations, especially, that still triggers me to this day that against Everton, we're 5-0 up with half an hour to go, and we didn't bring on someone like Tyreek George. Just pisses me off. Because if he comes on there, he plays well. I guarantee he plays today. But because he didn't use him in that game, he didn't even consider him as an option today. Like, it's the same with Gilchrist. If Gilchrist didn't play the few cameos early on well, he would have never gotten into the squad position that he is in now. So you need to give him a chance. Otherwise, they can't prove it to you. But honestly, as much as I dislike Poch and as much as I would like him gone, I think he did good today in the grand scheme of things. He couldn't pick really anybody else. I understand I honestly don't think he did bad. I'll give him, because I was so surprised and impressed by the tactical change, I'll give him a 7. What would you give him, Dimitar?
I was thinking 7.5, but 7 is also fine for me, I guess. Because the first half, I really don't know what happened, what the tactical setup was, but the players were just not on it, and they really looked lost. I mean, we did not crumble.
Sorry to interrupt you. You know what I think? We played, obviously, Villa in February, and they did not park the bus for a second of that game.
Yeah.
But because we conceded so early, and then they parked the bus. And I don't even want to blame Poch for that, because I understand that he didn't really see that coming, because they didn't do it any other time we played them. So, and then only at halftime could he say, okay, they're parking the bus, so then we do this instead. And it worked, because I don't think Poch nor the team saw what Villa did coming. And it wouldn't have happened if they didn't score this early.
No, maybe that is true. But I really, for me, it felt like in the 25th minute or so, it felt like he was getting sacked. And it felt like the players also knew that, if you know what I mean. We were really lost, or at least in my opinion, they did not know what to do. And it did not look like we were coming back in this game. At halftime, if anyone had said, oh no, we are back in this game, no one would have believed you. Because it did not look like that. So for the maybe, I don't know, maybe you're right, maybe the game plan completely changed, or maybe he completely mistook the situation for something else. Regardless, in the second half, he rectified it, which I like. So yeah, 7.5. I think this is what he deserves today, and hopefully he learns something, and hopefully he can implement such changes in the future, or start with them. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, no, it would be very, very interesting to see. Like I said, maybe this is just something he wants to do when we play like insanely low blocks or whatever. Could absolutely be the case, but
or maybe he just experimented and it worked.
Exactly, but because obviously Spurs, the next game, it could not be a more different opponent than the way Villa played today. So yeah, it's a tough one. But yeah, I'm gonna finish it on this nice little picture. A spirited comeback. It was a shame it wasn't to be with the winner.
Yeah.
Seemingly different opinions. You know, some people say we're robbed. Some people say it was a clear foul. That in and of itself tells you it's not a clear and obvious mistake. So should VAR have overruled it? Probably not. I think if there wasn't split opinions, it would have been it has to. It can't be a clear and obvious error by the referee. So therefore, it's a tough one. Yes, Kevin, they were in partial team training. He was asking, could Levi and Reece be on the bench against Spurs? I think Levi maybe. Reece, I doubt it. And if he is on the bench, I hope he remains an unused sub. That's what I'll say.
Yeah, well, getting him on the bench, I think, would be nice, because I think it would boost morale for sure.
Exactly.
If
Like we had the bench today was Bettinelli, Kerr.
Oh, the bench was insane.
United, by the way. Gilchrist, Achimpong, Tyreek George, Dyer, who's 17, Keanu Dyer, midfielder, and obviously David Washington. If you left one of those out and put a still injured Reece James on the bench just as a squad booster, I don't think that hurts anyone. So
yeah, and also I'm pretty sure most of the team have not even met Reece James at this point because he's so injured. So it would be a nice. It would be
a lot of the youth games.
Yeah, it would be no. I mean the first team players. Because they have not seen him the entire season. It would be a nice opportunity for them to get to know him and to talk to him in person. So yeah, just having him there would definitely be beneficial, I'm sure.
Absolutely. But yeah, like Joe says, special mention to the robbing of the women's game. The only reason why I'm not fully on, they were robbed. The second yellow card is never a yellow card. It's a good tackle. The penalty, soft for sure. But let's not ignore that Chelsea had 3 or 4 absolute sitters and bottle it, just like the men's game. So we could talk about refs robbing us, but if you have 3 sitters and miss them, you blame yourself, not the ref, please. And also, I want to say one thing. Lauren James, clearly by far the most talented player at Chelsea, to be honest, maybe even including the men's team, but especially in the women's team. But my God, she does not like running, does she? Fuck me. She runs less than fucking Messi. It's ridiculous. Run, for fuck's sake. Honestly, with that
thing is, she is an exact female carbon copy of Reece James, and I can imagine running with that physique would
runs and works hard.
Yeah, but he's always injured.
Okay, sure. What I think she's Hazard with even less attitude. Even less motivation to run.
She's Hazard with more muscles and less attitude.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, she's a tank.
More. And some people said, she needs to conserve her energy. I'm like, well, then get fitter. Do you know what I mean? Fucking conserve energy. It's professional football. Fuck me. Anyway, commiserations to Chelsea women's. Commiserations to Axel Disasi. I'm sure you would have loved that one. But yeah, we move on from here. Spurs on Thursday. So,
oh my God,
3 points in the bag. Fucking hope so. Until Poch ruins it. I gave him a 7 today. I'm going to regret that in a few days' time. I can already see it coming. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, if you're still here, appreciate you very much.
Is it a late game again? Sorry for interrupting you.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah.
Is it?
It's Thursday, isn't it? So it has to
be. Jesus.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah. Because the season ends on the 19th and we still have 5 games. So we need to spend there you go. I think we've got 2 more midweek games, I assume. Otherwise, I don't see how it works out. But yeah, there you go. Spurs on Thursday. Usually, battle off the bridge and stuff. So another one. Maybe Ange and Poch having a fist fight on the sidelines. Can't wait. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, please do hit that like button if you haven't already. Subscribe if you haven't done that either. That would be massively appreciated. I can't say downwards and backwards when we draw. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys for watching. Up the Chelsea, upwards and onwards, and we will see you next time.